Good morning, and yes, I'm Ann Dupuis, founder of Elevated Health Systems, introducing the ESP Deluxe Innovative Infection Control for the demands of the 21st century. The ESP Deluxe integrates UVC germicidal light with sensors for the detection of occupancy, 2 fans, a rotating shutter, and a computerized interface, and is controlled remotely via computer, iPad, or cell phone. The user-friendly controller app features continuous automated germicidal light dosage with scheduling and log features, and allows units to be networked into large systems, even providing germicidal protection to entire facilities. The hardware is compact, less than 2 feet long, weighing only 13 pounds, yet powerful, with bulbs that have been laboratory tested and achieved a 100% live MRSA kill. The ESP Deluxe is protected by 5 US patents with an international patent pending. The ESP Deluxe addresses the long-standing problem of antibiotic resistance. Bacteria are repeatedly exposed to drugs which no longer kill them, forcing the use of ever stronger antibiotics in the very limited arsenal of medications. However, a new terrifying threat has developed. Now, a resistant DNA fragment can hop to other germs without drug exposure. A single DNA plasmid, such as the one that arrived in the US last week, can spread antibiotic resistance to multiple drugs in multiple species very quickly. The head of the CDC warns that the end of the antibiotic era is now 1 genetic mutation away unless large action is taken. Currently, 1 in 25 patients entering the hospital become infecting there, causing a $40 billion annual loss to the US medical system. Heavy competition exists between hospitals because the 25% with the worst infection rates must pay heavy penalties in addition to other direct costs. For instance, for a 250-bed hospital in the lowest 25%, penalties and direct costs were $6.5 million in 2015. Of the hospitals in the upper 3 quartiles, 80% of them still faced 3% fines for readmissions, as well as large costs in each of the other categories listed here. The ESP Deluxe addresses the problem through its patented 4-in-1 automated disinfection. When a room is occupied, the UVC light is covered by the rotating shutter, while fans circulate sanitized air. When sensors detect no one is present, the shutter opens, exposing surfaces and air to UVC light disinfection. The rotating shutter has a variable aperture which can focus a light into a narrow beam, allowing it to create targeted disinfection. Changing the position of the unit allows light to be concentrated toward the ceiling, creating upper room disinfection, and inverting the unit and placing it over an entryway creates a germ barrier between areas of a facility. The following pictures demonstrate these 4-in-1 features. In this exam room, the device is disinfecting airborne germs through targeted airflow. Next, when that room is non-occupied, it is automatically bathed in germicidal light. If the door to this room opens, the shutter would close until the room is again unoccupied. On the lower left, surgical hygiene can be improved through the use of upper room disinfection. And on the lower right, this protected hallway entrance improves biosecurity traffic control throughout a facility. The initial addressable market was calculated by taking 15% of hospital rooms, 2% of nursing home rooms, 5% of assisted living suites, and multiplying by 3 lights per room, and arrived at over 1 million units. Additional markets exist, as listed here, with the potential addressable market being over 5 million units. Estimated revenue per unit is between $5,000 and $6,000, not including recurring revenue from replacement bulbs or service contracts. The ESP Deluxe has important advantages over our competition. Most vendors in the UVC market carry 2-tiered product lines. The top-tier products used in hospitals are the size of a refrigerator. They cost between $40,000 and $120,000 and require an attendant at all times. Competitors in the lower price range with the ESP Deluxe have only one function, that is only air or surface, not both and not automated. The ESP Deluxe is the only product with fully automated 4-in-1 functions, continuous log documentation, and scheduling features capable of being networked into large systems of infection control. EHS has partnered with NASA and MIT affiliated design engineers. We have a strategic partnership with Wichita Technology Corporation. We've secured 5 US patents as well as 4 trademarks. We have had successful laboratory and hospital testing, and our first beta units are ready for sale in limited supply. And of course, we would love to have some of you here in the room just try them out and let us know what you think. That would be wonderful. As founder, one of the inventors, and seed capital investor of EHS, I'm deeply enthusiastic about our executive team listed here. We have the expertise, ingenuity, and commitment to capitalize on this super bug crisis facing our nation and globe, and we desire Wichita partners in our endeavor. I thank you for your attention and look forward to questions from the audience. Thank you.
So is this on? Can I, first obvious question, what kind of FDA approval, if any, do you need?
And we do not need any FDA approval. The reason for that is the UVC light is not being provided to the human body as a treatment. So it is actually classified as a germicidal device. And at this point, germicidal devices they're only registered with the EPA. So the EPA just wants to know that you're selling them at this point. That could change in the future. I should mention that within the last 14 months or so, Clorox has actually made a licensed partnership with a UVC company. And so if you were to Google right now what the Clorox standard of hospital hygiene, it is their standard Clorox followed by a dosage of the UVC light. The one they're using, and they're only addressing this in hospitals, in none of the other markets, is the huge one you roll around and need an attendant. My belief is, especially as we get into these, the potential for these gene hopping microbes, that we're just gonna need an infrastructure. And just 2 of these in a whole hospital with people running around, it just won't cut it anymore. I believe that. So, but the answer to the question regarding regulation is, right now we only have to register with the EPA that we're in business.
And just one clarifying question. You said they're $5,000 to $6,000 a unit. That's your price point?
Yes. We're in discussion with that. We are. It's an efficient design. Let me put it that way. We're using efficient components, and we can probably bring it down if we had to, but we think we don't want to do that right now. We would really appreciate, and since you mentioned that, really need wisdom on how to enter the market at the price point to do the best we can. If we, with the market, reach less than 1%, far less than 1% of what's out there, we'll do really well at this. But, wisdom is key to our success.
Is there such a thing as a UV-resistant bacteria?
There is not. Occasionally, if the microbe does not get dosed enough for whatever reason, it has a process where it can heal up a little bit, but it never does confer that onto its progeny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, we do have one more question.
Oh, very good.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I was just recently in Houston and heard a similar presentation, and I know that there are competitors out there, and the approach is from an infection prevention, infection control standpoint, which it sounds like that's where you're coming from. But I'm wondering if you could just briefly talk about your background or your preparation.
Yes,
credentials,
I can. Yes, and so my background before doing this was in biofeedback, and so I was, using sensors and a computerized interface all day long. And so that's what I was immersed in. I was just introduced to the fact that UVC light eradicates all microbes, and did some research and met a person who introduced me to this idea, and realized that that had never been done, that no one had simply taken these powerful UVC lights, which have been around for decades, and applied them to a system with sensors and a computerized interface. And so the first patents were actually filed a good number of years ago, and we've kept developing, with the last patent being, it really gives us a solid niche in automation. If anyone really tries to do anything close to what we're doing, they're going to infringe on us. So I'd say that's what we have going for us right now, is those patents to give us a niche.
Thank you.
Thanks.